Green Lantern Corps number 7, written by Peter Tomasi, art by Claude St. Aubin. We left off last issue with the Keepers being defeated and having to serve out a life sentence. And this issue is basically just an epilogue issue that mostly focuses on the fact that John Stewart snapped a fellow Green Lantern's neck and how that's going to haunt him for a while. So we pick up at the crypt of the Green Lantern Corps, where his name is Kurt, and he's being laid to rest here. And they're singing out his praises because apparently the story that John Stewart presented to the Corps was that it was Kurt's willpower that took him literally to the edge of his life that allowed them to break free from the Keeper's building and get outside, but he died in the process. So yeah, they're singing out his praises and saying how, as a Green Lantern, being so brave and whatnot, he will be remembered here forever. So they make a green crystal version, sculpture, whatever you want to call it, of Kurt, and send it up into this sort of hall of statues where all the other Green Lanterns are. And they say the oath of the Green Lanterns, but saying how in brightest day and darkest night, no evil escaped his sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware Kurt's power, Green Lantern's light. And then we get a quick little glimpse over into Guy Gardner, who the Guardians have called in, and it's just like, hey, so we heard that you busted out 2 yellow lanterns and basically used them as weapons of mass destruction, also simultaneously executing them. The hell is that about? And Guy Gardner's like, all right, in World War II with the atomic bombs, and they're like, please don't make this comparison here. And he's like, okay, but I did the math, and it was smarter to do this than possibly wage a war that would cost all these civilians their lives. So you're welcome, bye. And they just don't have anything more to say about that, not at the moment at least. So then we go to Kurt's apartment on Oa, I believe, and John Stewart's there. He's packing up all of Kurt's stuff, and the dude who was also with John on the planet, Vandor, he also showed up, and he's like, hey, I saw that you were here packing up his stuff. And he's like, actually, this stuff was pretty much already packed up because he never unpacked it. He was always so busy on missions. Do you know he was only a Lantern for 1 year? 1 year. And I killed him. And he's like, hey, you did the right thing. He's like, no, I didn't do the right thing. I did what I had to do. There's a difference. And so basically Vandor just tells him, like, look, it was an impossible situation, but you did the best possible choice out of it. And if we were in the same situation again and I started cracking, I would want you to do the same thing about me. And John Stewart's like, I don't want to be the Green Lantern's conscience. I don't want to be the guy who, holds the guilt of the Green Lantern. Where he's like, well, we're going to need someone to do it. So all the people who have died this arc, they're all in these green glass coffins, and they're being transported back to their home worlds. And, of course, John Stewart nominates himself to bring Kurt back to his planet. Guy Gardner's taking care of Porter, the teleporting one from issue 2 or whatever. And as he's making his way through the universe one by one, the lanterns split off to go to their respective planets. And we see just this nice little montage of John passing by these different planets who are all looking up at him passing by, and a couple fellow Green Lanterns who give out a signal to memorialize the dead. And finally he makes it over to the planet of Loror, where Kurt is from, and he just stays in orbit for a little bit because he is just trying to build up the courage to go down. And when he finally does, Kurt's brother actually sees the green glow in the sky. He's like, Kurt's home, and he runs back to his house where the parents are there, and we see they're already mourning their child's death as Kurt's brother comes up. And I'm not sure if I know his name. I think it's Bert. Yeah, Kurt and Bert. So Bert comes up, and he has some sort of mental deficiency, some sort of handicap, and he doesn't quite grasp that Kurt is actually dead in there. And he's just trying to open your eyes, come on, get out of there. And finally they manage to pull Bert away, and they all go inside. And basically the father just says he wanted to be a Green Lantern so badly, he tried so hard to be fearless, and John Stewart just tells him that being Green Lantern isn't about being fearless, it's about overcoming your fear. The only truly fearless ones are those who are dead. And it's like, was he worthy of being a Green Lantern? And it's like, he was worthy the moment he got the ring. That's what proved his worth. And at that moment, they question where Bert is, and John goes out to find him, starts tracking where Kurt is because he knows Bert won't be far behind. And he goes to a quarry where Bert is using a jackhammer to basically break through the glass coffin and get Bert out of there so that he can wake up and be okay again. And as he does so, he realizes Kurt doesn't even have his ring anymore. And he pleads with John to just let him have his ring back just so he can fly one more time. And he's like, I'm sorry, I can't. And as Bert asks why his brother had to die, he's like, Kurt died because he had to be really brave one last time so that all of us could live. He's like, so Kurt is a hero? He's like, yeah, Kurt was a hero. And finally, the last page is them going out to, I guess, the graveyard of this planet, and they have John Stewart carve out a gravestone in the shape of the Green Lantern symbol and engrave it with an engraving that says, Kurt Kalak, Green Lantern of Sector 2541, beloved son and best brother ever. And yeah, this issue is such a downer. Like, it has these moments of like, oh, but like every time that John just gives a little bit of a pause, you just remember that all of this is just a lie that he's perpetuating so as to just not disrespect his fellow Lantern. It's just, oh my God, it's so just ouch the whole way through. And it was such like a nothing moment in the comic as well. Like, yes, when it happened, I think it was a full page spread, but it was still like we had to move on past that scene because there were just bigger things at play. But now that we're just letting it sit, it's like, no, he was a guy. He had a life. He has a family. And they just really hit those moments perfectly. And dear Lord, it may not have been the most well-written issue, but the beats were there that just really make you feel it. So art-wise, it's also good. St. Claude does a pretty good job of mimicking the previous style that's been throughout this whole arc. And even when it doesn't, I feel that it's still really, really good overall. The only problem I have with it is the occasional face, but it's so few and far between that I really do not have an issue with it in general. So, yeah, overall, I'm going to give this one like an 8. I'm just going to say 8.5. I honestly do think it is just, it's a touching enough issue that it gives John so much more character immediately. Just immediately tells you, like, okay, here's the kind of guy he is. Like, just through him not saying something, that's enough. And it shows how he is still, like, struggling with keeping up this lie, but it's still something that he knows he has to do for his own sake as well as others. It's very well done, and I would highly suggest checking out at least that issue if you have not been checking out anything else in this arc. So, yeah, a hell of a downer to leave this trade on, but really, really, really good.